Good morning, everybody. I'm just kind of going to talk a little bit on some of the issues you hear me talk about. I was here, again, after the other video I mentioned, heard a gunshot. I think it was yesterday. You know, we had there's many things that I don't always talk about. The story, those of you that live in my neighborhood, Turtle Cove, for many years I've done street ministry. And I did Bible studies and all with a lot of the people that are involved in crime here where we live for many, many years. You know, these cops have gone to a lot of these friends of mine. Some of the cops that are completely involved in corruption, to the degree that you would not believe it. But they'll ask, do you find something on John? Go to John's house. I have a bag I got to get rid of because I was helping a friend. And he wanted to leave stuff here. Over the years, when my friend Dirk was in jail, Dirk was a friend who stabbed and almost killed another friend of mine called Tennessee. But I helped Dirk. I took his dog when he was in jail, or else they would have took his nice dog. Everybody loves the dog. The dog's name is Gunner. And I let the dog stay here, you know, and I like Gunner. And whenever I see Dirk, you know, Gunner remembers me. And so this is how I know all these guys. And oftentimes when I do videos with Jimmy, I have to say, you know, look, don't be discussing, you know, all of your friends' things and all, because some of the friends of mine, when they did, let me inform you, the masses, Rush Limbaugh says, those in Rio Linda, this area of Flower Bluff, for many years, the blight of drugs, methamphetamine now is the big thing, and it's very, very just infiltrated this whole area, and it's drug addiction. I had a friend of mine, well, I'll tell you his name. His name is Cameron. You know Cameron. He's in jail. And whenever these guys go to jail for all of the stuff and things, and sometimes people, I won't say Cameron for sure, okay? But sometimes people are surprised because they're out on the street. And I could share this story. Cameron had a Camaro that he bought. And the Camaro, it had a broken windshield. No illegal sticker. Everything was illegal on that car. And I was with Cameron, you know, helping him. All the guys that the cops have been asking, you know, find something on this guy, find something on you. Every one of them, and including the girls that I helped. Oh, has John done stuff with you? Has he tried to? No. John? Brother John? That's the response. And they were frustrated. So Cameron, I was with him a couple times when he had his car out. He's in jail now. And I would tell Cameron, I would say, Cameron, you know, everything's illegal on this car. And the windshield is broken and no tags and everything is illegal. And then he was going to apply for a job at Schlitterbahn, which is a water park on the island. And I went out with Cameron one day, he was going to apply. And then there's a cop car, right? Like when you go into that water park. And I said, look, Cameron, I said, you know, these guys smoke pot. And sometimes guys that smoke pot, they have the little pipes and stuff. And I said, and I don't do any of that. I said, look, you get this little pipe in the car, and there's a cop right here at the water park, and you're going right past. I said, I don't want to drive in the car with you. I said, and so he said, no, don't worry. Goes right past him. Everything's illegal on his car. This is about a year ago, 2 years ago. So then he applied. He went in. I said, look, I'm going to walk out. I'm not going to drive with you like this. Meet me at the Stripes. Just pick me up. Were you doing anything wrong? No, I was helping him. I went for the ride with him, helped him. His oil was low. He had no oil in that car, by the way. He bought it for like $800. I said, did you check the oil yet? Zero. I bought him 1 quart of the cheap oil. And then I thought, he picked me up. I said, look, I don't want to be driving. Well, then later on, some of the other guys, it never clicked on me. Some of the other guys, he had a note on his door one day, Cameron, and said, you're going to be shark bait or whatever. And then I realized it's because some of the guys, when they have all types of things on them, charges, this is common, it's not wrong, but the cops will say, okay, look, we're going to let you go. And we just want you to go and kind of like, it's very common, just you're going to be an informant. Some of my friends over the years have done this because they would be at a certain place here in Flower Bluff, and they maybe went to say they were going to buy drugs, and as soon as they left that place, the cops raided. And everybody that's in the drug thing all knew, oh, so-and-so came in. So that's something that goes on. And some of the guys I know that it always, the guys I try to help, some of you've seen on video, I always wondered myself, they have some of the charges against them, things that you maybe do 25 years in prison, but yet they're not in jail. And some of those guys come by my house. And so it made me realize, and they want to leave things. Oh, can we leave stuff here? I don't trust these cops one bit. And I wouldn't put it past them to say, go put something there. The one officer who has committed many, 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 many crimes in this area, a lot of it he did out of frustration, because he would stop guys thinking, oh, maybe they got some drugs on them. If they didn't have the drugs on them, he would have it in a baggie. My friends would tell their lawyers, their public defenders, this cop he pulled it out openly and said, look what I found on you. And if they went back, all you lawyers, public defenders, my veteran friend who did 2 years in prison, he was a veteran, Iraq War veteran. He struggles with alcoholism, but he's a good man, this friend of mine. The cop just, it's so blatant, so open, I don't trust these guys. And in my neighborhood where I live, when they did that little thing, for those of you that live in Turtle Cove, I heard it publicly on the news. Some of the residents were complaining about a lot of illegal drug activity and crimes. And I'm just going to tell you guys in Turtle Cove, some of these cops are right in with that. That's why they did like a raid here. What they did was a lot of the people that live in our beautiful area of Turtle Cove, they were complaining and saying, look, we got a lot of crime going on at the park here and all. And then a few weeks after a lot of people complained, they came through and left notices on people's doors. And the cops were here in force, parked out. They scared a lot of the people. I got a notice too, code enforcement. And code enforcement in this city, and people question, it's under the police department. And my notice was fine. It was like, you got to clean your gutter and all, which was legitimate. But some people got notices that their fences that they had for many years were too high. And if you don't lower your fence within a week, we're going to put a lien against your house. Look, I had a ticket that said the same thing, but not about a fence. So I know this is legitimate. On the ticket, it says that if you don't correct it within 7 days, the city could put a lien on your property and all. Now, those residents felt like they were retaliated against. Why would they be retaliated against? Look, if some of these cops have long illegal activities going on, and you keep calling the police department, which my neighbors were doing, and you're complaining and openly saying there's drug dealers living in this subdivision, and they're in it with these guys. Because the cops later, the new police chief, Markle, who lives here, has been here for many years, this section, a lot of residents complained. And he said, well, we should have made it more clear that this cuts down crime when you do code enforcement. Let me ask you, If your fence is 1 inch high, and it's been 1 inch high for 20 years, how does that cut down crime when you put a notice? Or would that be retaliation? And why would you retaliate? I can't tell a lot of stories. I'll tell you one, because this was maybe 20-something years ago. A friend of mine who was into drugs very bad, and a lot of these guys used to tell me about illegal activities. This is why it built up over many years with cops. But he was at a certain house known for drugs. And because I used to tell my friends, I said, well, I don't, believe it's that corrupt here. And one night, because a lot of the people, I have a camera on my house, you could watch it comes. And a lot of people that are into illegal activity do that, but I don't have it for that reason. And he said one night, the cops here, this area, Flower Bluff, where a lot goes on, they were chasing somebody. Crime was committed. I don't know what it was, but they were chasing somebody. And they're watching this on the video camera inside the house, like, oh, what are the cops doing? And my friend told me, no, John, they're corrupt, because when they got to the property or the place, the other cops showed up. Said, no, never mind. Let him go. So, these things, of course, disturb me. And many of you residents that were complaining here where I live, that's could be why things don't get done, okay? We had a shooting last night, a killing here. The day I make this, I date it. So last night or yesterday, you had a bank robbery, you had a double shooting, and one died. I don't know if the other one died. And then I watched the local news, and it said, well, the police department is looking at all of the people that are on social media giving tips about what they saw, and the police department would prefer for you to call them. And then another story was somebody did call and gave information and all. And I think this was on the local that I watched, not what I read online. And then they asked the cops, well, you actually got a tip. They said, oh, yeah, we haven't had time to look into it. A murder, maybe a double homicide. So I got to remove friends of mine that come and say, can I leave my bags here, Joe? Friends that have had long histories, and they got charges against them that they'd be in prison for a very, very long time. But they're not. And they want to leave stuff. And they come here. It's not that I don't hold it against those friends. But the reason they're out on the street is because they work. Some of them work. Like the story I told you about Cameron. It simply was a matter of these guys they got to do time. And the cops say, well, we're going to make a deal with you. We want you to, be like undercover for us, informant. But because of the history of these guys here, that would also mean openly planting drugs on people, openly doing it, openly, publicly, confessing it, admitting it, saying, I'm sorry I did, openly, publicly. Do you think I can trust any of these guys? Some of you people have not seen me, places I used to go. Oh, is John mad at us? Please understand that I don't go to some of those places because some of my friends used to ask me, where do you go? Where's your spots when you go, John? Just pray or visit or whatever. And then when I go to that, and some would say, okay, and what time do you normally go there again? So I got to change all my spots. People think this is a joke. People think it's funny. And they think it's like a very small percentage. It's not a small percentage. It's more than you realize. So I just wanted to, those were a few things that I wanted to share. These I'm just talking a little bit. My train set, I got the army troops up. Oh, I just wrote a verse actually from Psalms. I didn't even put it up yet because I came right in here. And sometimes I'll read the verses. But one I just read was, the Lord's going to bless us with favor. He'll bless the righteous with favor. He will compass us about. The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous run into it. I can read some of my verses. Look down from your holy habitation and bless your people and the land which you have given us, as you swore to our fathers. These are all blessings. I like this one. The man whose name is the branch, who will branch out from his place and build a temple of the Lord. It's a prophecy about the Joshua, not the other Joshua, but in the book of Zechariah. Let thy works appear unto thy servants, and thy glory unto their children. And let the beauty of the Lord our God be upon us, and establish thou the work of our hands. Yea, the work of our hands, establish thou it. Look at this. A wise man foresees the evil and hides himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. Some of my friends that come by, sometimes when I go to different places, I notice, and I'm not worried about getting into a fight, but I noticed a few people, some I haven't even told you, some I've told you about, but they acted like they were getting ready to, like, taking their ring off, taking their stuff off, standing in front of me. I just sit there. I just wait. I don't say nothing. And maybe they were told, man, John's got a temper. Get him on camera hitting you, and we'll come in and bust his ass so hard. Cops busting my ass. And the last incident was quite obvious. Somebody was like standing in front of me. Like, well, these guys have histories. I just sat, I didn't say nothing. And if you go first and it's cameraed, then I have every right to do whatever I got to do. But I recognize. So I said, you know what? I'm not going to give the cops any. Would the cops have some of your friends? Of course they would. They're criminals. They're committing crimes, felonies you'd be in prison for. The average person would be in prison for. Here you're doing it down the street with the full acknowledgement of your department. Of course they would do something like that. The resale of confiscated drugs. Everybody that deals in this stuff knows. It's a common thing. So I would have to avoid going. And some people would come by. John, can you take a walk with us? Can you give me a ride somewhere? No, I don't go there anymore. Well, how about we just go around the block? All right, let's see. This is the word of God. I'll read it. Let my prayer be set before thee as incense, and the lifting up of my hands as the evening sacrifice. When their judges are overthrown in stony places, they shall hear my words, which are sweet. Keep me from the snares which they have laid for me, and the traps of the workers of iniquity. Let the wicked fall into their own nets, whilst that I withal escape. Scripture says, he that leads into captivity will go into captivity.